I just feel like, blah. It's, let's see, just about 7 o'clock in the morning. I slept in today. Sleeping in was like 5:20 for me. I have been waking up anywhere between 2:30 and 4:30 in the morning, probably for, I don't know, the last 7 weeks or so. And when I wake up, like today, I knew it was going to be an interesting day because I woke up with very strong impressions to bring back with me, and kind of these packets or these downloads that I'm getting, and that's kind of what I'm trying to document here. This flush of information, this flush of energy, very heightened mental activity, need to really ground myself into this reality, because the energy is electric. It's very oscillating very quickly, and I've been noticing this in myself since the summer, and it's actually what drove me to start riding my bike more. I wake up with this, what I'm assuming is, Kundalini energy, or energy I've been working with. I don't know what name you want to give it, but it doesn't really matter how you want to label it. But waking up with this surging energy, which is both sides of a coin. So it's pleasant, and it's also excruciating. It feels like electricity coursing through my body, fire. It feels like a need to take action in the physical body, a need to move the energy somewhere. It actually is funny because it made me think of Forrest Gump, and I understand now his need to just take off and start running, because that's what began happening to me over the course of the summer, doing all of the, protocols that I'm doing for the, healing from cancer. I just felt this need to move my body, even though everything, inside of you is telling you don't have the energy to do it. You feel like crap. You feel you're in excruciating pain. You feel like you're having overwhelming anxiety, but at the same time excitement, but at the same time these heightened sensory experience. Very electric is how I would try to articulate this feeling. Even now, I'm having trouble articulating the way it feels, just almost wanting to clench your teeth. It's that electric and kind of painful. And so when the weather started to shift and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to get out on my bike, I was a little, I wouldn't say, concerned or panicked, but a little bit curious how I was going to manage that energy. And also, I didn't want to lose the template that I was building of a person that moved their body 6 days a week. As someone with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, someone that had been housebound, isolated, wheelchair bound at one point, walker bound, cane bound, you really never imagine that you'll get to a place where you're a person that moves their body 6 days a week in some form of exercise. So that felt like a real achievement to me this summer. And I didn't want to lose that footing that I had gained by the habitual, devotion and dedication that I had put into the bike riding. Excuse me, I'm going to get something warm to drink. It's so early. I'm not used to talking. So, yes, so doing this bike riding was also bringing me this real sense of accomplishment, which was necessary for me during these summer months. I'm struggling. I'm trying to figure it all out, just, in constant prayer, meditation. I'm hermit mode personified because now, I have this this trauma that I'm working through, and I'm, just completely within, and don't even feel capable of speaking out my experience. So this, being in nature and meditating in a new way, riding this bike, nature was absolutely my medicine this entire summer. It saved me. It just saved me. So knowing that was going to transition, I was, working really hard on trying to stay in a neutral space about what that was going to look like, given the fact that I am so, restricted with my resources at the moment. So I had reached out to the lodge that was, I live on a state park, on the edge of a state park, and I reached out to the lodge to see if they'd be willing to sponsor me to go swim laps and use their hot tub facility and their sauna facility, because that was the other thing. I'd be losing my ability to use a hot tub, as the one that I have is just a temporary seasonal hot tub for when the weather is nice. And I really, did my due diligence with, the ways in which I would go about manifesting that. And knowing that that it's cost prohibited. It is possible for me to use it whenever I want to, but, it was cost prohibitive. And, I've learned through this past year that it genuinely just doesn't hurt to ask if someone may be willing to sponsor you in some way or help you in some way. And that's another, way in which Spirit's really pushing me outside of my comfort zone. Knowing that I'm this kind of self-contained, autonomous, little bubble unto myself. This is pushing me to, really have to step out and, ask for reciprocity, ask for resource, ask for help, ask for others to support me in this journey of, trying to heal from cancer in a way that isn't traumatic or invasive or detrimental, more detrimental than the actual cancer itself. So I did all of that, and they came back and said no, that they were not willing to sponsor me. So, now I'm starting to get a little concerned. However, in the interim, over the course of these bike rides, I began working with Saint Germaine, and his energy was his nodal, because Saint Germaine is also many other faces. And I had begun working with this energy as the weather was getting colder. I was working with this energy more and more. And eventually this is what I'm trying to document now. This is now evolving into two totally different healing modalities that I'm intuiting and discerning and developing alongside my team in spirit. And I actually think I'm going to go practice these two modalities and then come back and speak to you about them, because as you can tell, I'm not really able to effectively communicate at this moment until I've properly moved the energy through my my toroidal field, my vortex, and then, recentered myself into the 0 point. And so I'm going to go do these two new healing modalities, and then I'll come back and talk about it, because I'm excited to share. Okay, I am back. I am here in this reality. I have practiced these healing modalities and taken all of my herbs and put my castor oil pack on and done all of my my healing rituals that I've been developing over this last year, and now feel that I'm in a better space to communicate with all of you. So I just wanted to start documenting some of the phenomenon that I'm experiencing, because it is so radical and mind-bending and a unique experience. I think it's a unique experience, and it's been my intention all along to document and share this experience with all of you. It hasn't panned out that way, like most things in life, best laid plans and all of that. But that is really the reason and purpose for pushing myself to share with you my vulnerability, my struggles, my personal story and narrative that I'm traversing on this journey of life at this time. And if I hadn't have allowed myself to really fall to pieces this last year, I wouldn't be here in this now moment explaining to you the other side of that, which is discovering a whole new way of connecting, interfacing, joining with spirit, integrating spirit into the material realm that I am now. And it's something that feels unique to me, and it's something that I can get behind, that I can believe in. And that is the most important aspect of anything that you endeavor on a healing journey, is that you must believe in the system, the modality, whatever it is. It has to have your belief in order for it to be effective. And I've been on a journey, a hero's journey, to find my own personal medicine. And not just a medicine to myself, but my feeling, my knowing this entire time was that it would be reciprocal in nature, that somehow in my healing, I would also be healing others, and they would be healing me in this giant circle of energy and reciprocity. But I was blocked, completely blocked, or it felt that way, in accessing that. And so I had to be willing to throw out everything that I thought that I'd known and feel my way around in the dark using my discernment and my intuition to guide me, because everything in my external reality was telling me the opposite of that. And that's a scary place to be if you don't know that reality is inside out and not the other way around. And if you haven't cultivated a relationship with your team in spirit. And I was blessed enough to receive this diagnosis at a space and place and time when I had intensely cultivated a relationship with my team in spirit. And even in the silence, understand that there is no separation. There is no such thing as separation. So one morning, I had just been gifted this yoga mat, and it's cold outside. I can no longer go out for the morning ride. It's, 4:20 in the morning. And I have this sensation, this burning electrical sensation. You also need to understand all of my joints dislocate upon movement. So it's only amplified in the areas where there is, tissue tearing and wounding. And this electrical sensation, there is no way that I'm going to be able to sit in a meditative, channeled state, which is what I've always done when I wake up in the morning. And, that's how my energy work rolls, right? But it had been, a lot of things have been changing rapidly since the eclipse in April when it came to how I was understanding my visions and downloads and messages from my team in spirit, and the methodologies were shifting entirely as well. So I roll out this yoga mat and I put on my headphones with some music. I have different playlists that, kind of take me on a tether, and I use music as one of my number one ways of healing, connecting, all things. It's integral in my life. So I put this on, I sit down, and my intention was to possibly do some stretching and some yoga as a way to move the energy through my body. And as I sat and grounded myself and closed my eyes and called in my team in spirit, I simultaneously began to ecstatically move my body, meditate, biolocate, open up to my multidimensionality, see Saint Germaine in front of me, but not just Saint Germaine. It was, they're calling themselves to me the Counsel. And I was interfacing with them and telling them a story through movements and light language and the way that I was ecstatically moving my body. And, all of this is happening with my eyes closed. And I, come out of this experience, this powerful experience. Actually, the poem that I put out, if you go back and listen to it, was channeled directly after one of these first sessions, where I had this, massively transformative experience. And I open my eyes and, just start sobbing and feel this release of this stuck, stagnant, lower vibrational energy that had been stuck in my body. And I knew then that this was my personal doorway into a belief system that felt reciprocal and interactive and all-encompassing and effective. But it's taken me a year and a half of struggle and creative block and dark night of the soul and hermiting and being willing to let everything fall apart for that to happen. And that's one archetypal energy I've really embraced over this past year. And that was this feeling of empowerment came through embodying the alchemist and the high priestess. This divine feminine energy that we have within us. The medicine men, the medicine women, the shamans, the healers. That ancestral lineage is within all of us. These ways that we've become disconnected from still resides in all of us. But in order to let that out, we have to be willing to give up these other dominant aspects of self that have been narrating our reality to date. Understanding that we are moving into, we've moved into this age of Aquarius now. In total, into fourth density, the realm of mental. And I'm sure you've all seen that as Pluto moved into Aquarius, the weird factor, the woo-woo factor got turned up like 10,000 notches. And some people are not handling that well. This move from the physical to the mental sphere. Especially for us highly sensitives. It's a very different frequency. Very different frequency. And the entrainment, although softly unrolling as we moved into it, you can tell is now amplified. Things are speeding up and will continue to do so into 2025. But embracing that inner alchemist, that high priestess, that if I hold no fear, if I'm not overly invested in an outcome, I'm willing to throw everything up in the air and try what I'm feeling intuitively drawn to, called to. And so embracing that inner alchemist can kind of give you that emotional distance, if you will, when you're dealing with, very serious matters, life and death matters, when it comes to, healing something like cancer. So that's one aspect of this that I think has allowed me to arrive at the space that I'm at now. The second one, as I've said, is allowing everything to fall apart, allowing yourself to disappoint people, allowing yourself to make mistakes, allowing yourself to have a dark night of the soul, if that's what needs to happen. It's stepping into your authenticity, into your inner agency. And that's not to say this isn't difficult work. This healing work isn't difficult. It's layer after layer after layer. When you start to really go down into the womb of creation and let go of the overarching energy streams that have been narrating your life to date, and you step into that observer, you can see all of these aspects of yourself that have been shoved down, suppressed, held back, where it wasn't safe for them to come out. And now they're all going to come out. They're all going to step forward as you're peeling away these layers like an onion, you know. And I've arrived now at my inner child. And my inner child is stepping forward, and I've had to, through this departure energy, have a life review. And I'll be discussing that more in some of these videos to come. This idea of a life review. And we're all going through that in various different forms. You know, often the departure of a loved one and the grieving process has us going through this Six of Cups kind of energy, this nostalgia energy, this life review energy. And that is with reason and purpose. We just went through the solstice being last night, the darkest night of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere. And we are being rebirthed now as these new fourth density creations. But in order to become this new thing, we had to first review our life up until now and get back to that space and place and time of the inner child and begin reparenting that wounded inner child. And it has been intense for me, intense. After I did this modality that I spoke to you about this morning, and what's been happening to me most mornings is I sob. I just cry and cry and cry. And it feels so healing to my heart to be there for that little girl that was not allowed to cry. Not allowed to cry. And so this morning I was crying for that little girl that never got to. It was like all the times that she wasn't allowed to express her feelings. She was invalidated. Her words didn't matter. Her feelings didn't matter. Her tears weren't allowed. I grew up in a very psychologically abusive household. And from the time I was, at least I can remember, probably 4 onwards, I was not allowed to cry. It was something my father would not allow. And if I was going to be punished in a humane way, that was considered a timeout, but that timeout wasn't allowed to begin until I stopped crying. And so sometimes I would cry as an act of rebellion. But there's a lot of those tears that needed to come out for her. So you may be noticing in your own life that you are needing to reparent yourself, that you've stripped yourself back to a place of inner childhood, inner joy, inner peace, creativity, but also sensitivity, vulnerability. And you may need to reparent that little boy or that little girl inside. Mother Mary, the archetypal energy of the mother, has been very strong and working with me at this time and with the entire planet. This divine feminine energy is very omnipresent at this time. I actually have my necklace. So if you find yourself feeling vulnerable, you find yourself in that childlike energy, ask that aspect of you what it needs to feel safe and loved, and how it would like to express. You may be surprised at what you find. This morning when I was doing this new modality, I had a memory of being around 4 or 5 years old and just loving this shirt, loving being in my body, loving the feeling of running in the sprinklers and my feet in the grass, and that confidence, the lack of self-consciousness. And I really felt that stepping forward to me, and I'd forgotten that feeling. So see if you can tap into that. So the second thing I wanted to discuss is this other modality, which I've been developing. And again, this came about in a completely organic way, because I was open to it. So I'm sitting here one night, and I had received a donation from one of my friends, followers of Love Manifest. That's become a friend. Started off as a client and became a friend over the last several years. And he had sent me a donation. And I was sitting here one evening thinking, gosh, I really wish there was some way that I could thank him. It meant a lot to me at a time when I was really struggling, and it was a little buoy for me. And I wanted to reciprocate that feeling. So I knew that he had asked me for some of my artwork in the past, and I had done a little doodle for him. So I thought, I'm going to make him a card, and thank you card, and I'm going to include some of my artwork on it. Well, the year before, I had participated in an art class with my homeschooling co-op community. And the way that it works is all of us mothers sign up to teach various different courses, and we create the lesson plan for that lesson of the day of whatever course it is. This happened to be art. And one of my girlfriends had brought in a project last year on neurographic art. Okay. And there's all these different ways to do neurographic art. But one of the ways in which you can do it is you take a glass gem and you put it down on a piece of paper, and you take a pencil and you just follow that gem around on the piece of paper, and it'll create a bunch of scribbles and lines, and then you trace over those and you create these little bubbles and you fill it in, and it creates this beautiful piece of artwork. And I'd remembered that technique. I had experimented with it in channeling a few times, but I'd remembered that technique. And this friend of mine is very involved with crystals. And so I thought, wow, I wonder what that would be like if instead of using a glass gem, I use a crystal as a conduit, and I tap into his tether of energy with permission from his higher self, of course, and see what comes through as a message. And he had given me a rose quartz crystal. So I brought that crystal out. I did my normal channeling rituals and meditative state and moved into this meditative state. And then I was incorporating Saint Germaine with this, because now I'm working with Saint Germaine with this body somatic thing that I'm doing. And I connected with the crystal and I asked it to help me channel this message. And I'm pushing the pencil, the piece of rose quartz with the pencil. And I look down at these scribbles, and all of a sudden, the entire snapshot of the quantum space, the visions that I see, started bubbling up from this piece of paper. And with my third eye, I could divine the images that were showing themselves to me. And I've struggled as to what to call this methodology as I've been developing it over this last month. And they're calling it joining. I'm joining with these energy tethers and creating this piece of art. And subsequently, I'm going to be showing you this. It's developing rapidly, and it's quite exciting. Simultaneously, I had been struggling on putting out this fundraiser to support this journey, this healing from cancer journey. The idea of, again, pushing myself to a space where I'm actively now asking for you all to help support me in creating this new way of healing was something that was, I didn't know if it was, a block that I could overcome. I had created this, I'd been thinking about it, for, nearly a year. I had actually, researched who I wanted to use as a platform and, written it all. I mean, it took everything I had to write out this fundraiser and put it together, and they vet you as well. So I had to send them copies of my breast cancer diagnosis and my Ehlers-Danlos diagnosis, and it was very difficult. And I was searching for a way. My phone ran out of time, which is also pretty symbolic, because that's how it's felt to me this past year, is that I'm always running out of time, or I need more time, or time is elusive, or I'm not in linear time. And I've had to come into, acceptance with that as well, and learn how to interface with my reality in completely new, unexpected, and evolving ways. So what I was saying was, this organically led to then this ability to be able to put this fundraiser forward with the feeling of reciprocity, that to anyone that donates $100 or more to the cause, they will receive in return one of these channeled pieces of artwork, in which they can then use for whatever purposes they would like to use that for, as a cover photo, as a screensaver, as a totem to go back to tap into their own energy blueprint and signature. There's so many ways this is evolving, and it would be a whole other video for me to explain to you the information that's being downloaded as I continue to evolve this with this process. But synergistically, it all came together in a culmination point, which is this new methodology of joining that I'm now stepping into. It's an entirely different way of channeling, but it allows all of the ways in which I have practiced or intuited channeling over these last, 5 years, really all the way back to my childhood, to come forward, because it's the channeling, it's the divination aspect, the automatic writing, the tarot, the all the clairs. It's so many things all at once, and it's all moved together into one seamless methodology of joining with the great tapestry. And so that feels very natural, and it feels exciting. And it also gives sense, meaning, and purpose to the darkness in which I've descended down into this. And I don't mean darkness as in darkness. I mean this womb of creation. And it is also dark, and those dark elements are there. But the difference between what I went through the first time around with my diagnosis of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and now is that before I didn't have the awareness that I do now. I wasn't embodying the consciousness that I embody now as my dominant resonant frequency. And so I got lost down there in the dark. I got lost. I was untethered from the light. And this time I went down and descended into that darkness with my shining light, my North Star, my heart, my compass. And Team in Spirit has been very, very adamant. And I'll be discussing this more, that moving forward, our number one currency will be trust. Trust, discernment, self-agency, autonomy. There will be nothing more valuable than trust as we move further into this fourth density. So that's just a little bit about what's been going on with me. And I hope that it helps you in your life somehow. I'm really excited to start bringing these messages forward, sharing this with you. It feels like, the day after the solstice, it feels like this new beginning is starting to take shape. And I'm so grateful to be able to share this with all of you in this now. I'm sending you all big, 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 big love. Bye.
Just wanted to say I love ya. Scully loves ya. Bye.